Good morning, everyone. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, but now we're here. I am Heather Marzigliano from Grace on Broadway and from the Belles and Beaux Tour, and we just wrapped up our first event in New Jersey this weekend, and it was amazing. It completely filled my heart and my soul, and I'm ready to get back at it. And if you were there, thank you so much. I just want to give a special shout out to all of the company owners and reps that were there helping us. Suzanne from Dixie Belle and Mary from Surf Prep. Y'all, they were even washing our brushes. Like, that's how down to earth and in it to win it and be part of the team these owners are. And that's why I love our companies. They are here for us. They jump in when we're needed and all that stuff. But I also want to give a shout out super quick to all of our most important beaux in our life who were there. All of our husbands were there. My kid was there. My grandpa was there. And not only were they there, they also worked their tails off to make this happen for all of their belles, right? Like, they helped us unload. They helped us pack. They drove trailers. Travis flirted with every girl there. He really did, Margaret. It was ridiculous. He just thought he was the absolute beau of the ball. He was flirting and batting his eyelashes, and
he was the honorary beau for the tour.
For sure. He was in it. He thought it was just all that. And obviously all of my amazing instructors that came out for Pam and I and really brought interesting creative projects and taught their butts off. We had an amazing time, and I cannot wait to do it again in Atlanta. I don't know if you guys can tell, but my voice is all weird from talking and giggling all weekend, and I think I got a cold from the weird hotel air, but I don't even care. We are having so much fun. So that is all my quick blurb. Atlanta's going to be amazing. If you didn't get to New Jersey, get to Atlanta. The tickets are super still on sale. I think we even have like 1 or 2 early birds left. That's January 18th, which is just 2 months away. So if you couldn't get to Jersey, get to Atlanta. Now, before we got to New Jersey, we started this beast of a cabinet. And if you saw my page, Grace on Broadway, I posted what my client wanted this to look like. She wanted it to look like a party barn desk that she found, which was mostly opaque up at the top and distressed at the bottom. So what we've done so far is we took caviar and we just have a coat. The plan going forward to create that look is to do a second coat, heavy, like a full second coat here, and then kind of taper off our second coat around here, so that when we distress, it's going to distress where it is more opaque up here and more farmhouse down here. So that's what we're doing today. I'm hoping it all dries fast enough so that I can show you guys the distressing with my super cool Surf Prep rad pads. So I'm going to get started. I kind of went over some paint brushing techniques in my class because I think it's important, and I talked about this last week. The better your paint lays on, the easier your job is in the finished process, because you don't have gumps and goops and brush marks and that kind of stuff. So I paint in sections, and some of the girls in my class were asking what I meant by that, and this is like the perfect piece to show, because like this would be a section, this would be a section, and I paint in sections because if my phone rang, if I had to go to the potty, if a customer walked in, if the fire alarm went off, if anything happened, you're only in sections, so you're not leaving like a paint line here that's going to end up creating just like another layer. So then when you go back over it, now to here is one and here's another, and then you have all these break lines, and those break lines are going to be a pain in your butt later on and help not create a super smooth finish. So I paint in sections.
Sandy would like to know if you can put up a link for the rad pads when you're done. Later.
Absolutely. All right. Sure thing. And we still have a discount code for the tour. So I just work in sections.
Oh, Kimberly just ordered the Surf Prep system.
Did you? Rock on. It's amazing. I love it. It has made my life so much easier. Now, you don't have to sand anything all the way back to start with Dixie Belle. We all know that. But there's times when sanding is certainly part of all of our lives, right? So if this piece had, say we wanted a super soft finish and there was like, the top looked like someone put a feral cat on it and like pinched it and it scratched everything, right? Like you can all imagine, like you've all seen those tops. Those are some tops that maybe we would want to sand down before applying our paint, because you can't it's not going to just get rid of texture. So if there's a texture to your wood prior to paint, that would be a great time. If you want to stain a piece, you know, the top or the drawers and keep them awesome, that would be another time that it would come into play. But also, I always, so see how, I don't know, can you see that, Margaret? Just to show them. I also sand in my finishing process every single time, no matter what. So now I came all the way back to the top, and I'm just going to pull through and kind of flick and let that be that for down there. But I started up here and pulled my line super smooth so that it's one continuous brush stroke. And now I'm trying to do this where I'm not like.
Yeah, I'll come over here.
Will we switch?
I can actually move now this time.
Okay. This is a very weird piece to work with on camera.
Oh, I just realized I'm moving your paint further away from you.
Thanks, Margaret. Thanks.
So helpful.
So everyone wanted to know where you were this weekend, Margaret.
I was supporting our Slate Belt Youth Soccer.
Yay.
It was every year, same weekend, every single year. So I knew from the moment that it was discussed, it was like, ooh, what weekend? Oh, that weekend.
So,
that really stinks.
soccer weekend. Darn it. Well, it's important to support.
But I was going to say,
your
with
kids.
that being said, it is not just the regular game. It's a tournament. There's many teams.
Well, we missed you.
Well, I missed being there. I think I watched every single live that I possibly could.
Oh, they were fun.
It sure looked it.
Okay. It's always fun when you get that many girls together with a bunch of paint.
How could it not be?
I don't know. That's what I thought. Okay. Sorry guys, I had to concentrate a tiny bit because the light is making the reflections weird with my paint.
Can we move it back?
Nope, now I'm good.
Okay.
I just was explaining why I was super quiet while I was painting, because for a moment I actually had to see. So I'm just going to take this one again and stop it kind of around the same part, but it doesn't have to be perfectly the same, because this is where all the farmhouse stuff is going to start to come in.
So Laura would like to know how this piece was prepped.
Oh, sure. We prep all of our pieces by taking Dixie Belle's White Lightning, which, oh, we do, my cart. So we take Dixie Belle White Lightning. I put mine in a bucket with like warm water, and I use a sponge and I really clean the heck out of my piece. And then I take just clear water and rinse back any of the cleaner, any of the stuff that's left over, and let that dry. And then we got to paint. This piece has tons of texture. It's not slick. It's solid wood. So we didn't need slick stick. It's not going to bleed. Even if it were a piece that had a chance of bleeding, we're using caviar, so it's fine. So we didn't add Boss or anything like that. So we were able to just get right to it. And we did this first coat. One even first coat. Our second coat is what we're doing, where we're stopping short. Because, again, if you're doing farmhouse, like if this whole entire piece was going to be super rustic, I wouldn't even put a second coat on the whole piece, because if I'm taking it back off, why add it to begin with? You're just adding a layer of work for yourself. So we're just adding the second coat where we need it and keeping it one coat where we're going to take stuff off.
And I grab the cleaner again for Laura. Let's see if I can.
That little jar of cleaner will last you for
That's what it looks like. It's just a little 8-ounce granule jar.
So the Atlanta workshop is going to have some really interesting, different classes than New Jersey. They're actually going to get a spray booth, and John, the owner of Apollo Sprayers, is going to be teaching the class. So who better to learn from than the guy who made the machine, right? And then Hannah from Surf Prep is going to be teaching all the ways that Surf Prep is applicable and can help you with refinishing furniture with chalk paint, and Dixie Belle in particular.
Heather, quick, the brush you're using, that's the mini angle, right?
Yep.
Is that the one you have? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
All right, Debbie, it's the mini angle.
I like the mini angle because it fits in my hand without too much extra out here. So it's not heavy, and it doesn't have that like counterweight due to the handle, so it's easy on my wrist. And I like the angle part because this top part can get into like tiny little areas.
And Home Inspired would like to know, how many years have you been painting and using Dixie Belle?
So I've been with Dixie Belle since 2014. So I'm one of the original Bells, and I've been painting since I got the paint. I kind of taught myself to paint after I got the paint, because when I originally ordered the paint, I wanted it in my store so that everybody would buy furniture and go home and they can make it pretty, because I didn't think that I could paint. And I didn't think I was creative enough, or all of those things that we all tell ourselves. And then I started playing with it and loving it. And now, 5 years later, here we are. Okay. And the only way, like, we really learned, especially back then, because there wasn't conferences and conventions or whatever you want to call them. They're conferences because you're taking classes, but there wasn't that. There wasn't live videos yet. And a lot of the women in the industry back then were very quiet about what colors they had been using or what products they were using. So a lot of lessons were my good friends teaching me, or just really trial and error, just grabbing a piece and not being scared to just put paint to it and see what happened. And sometimes it would be a great success, and sometimes not so much. But each time I learned, and it's still that way. Sometimes it's a great success, sometimes it's not. A while back, I shared a picture of a buffet that couldn't have been a worse horrible thing. We hated its guts no matter what we did. Absolutely hated it. And we just kept trying stuff and ultimately threw the towel in and redid it. And now it ended up being so popular, the redo of it, that I'm duplicating it for a customer this week. So even after years and years and hundreds, probably thousands of pieces of furniture at this point, there's still moments of learning, and there's still moments of not liking what I did. Not every single thing is perfect all the time. I certainly have learned tips and tricks and ways to make it easier on myself, right? But it still doesn't make it perfect.
So we have a few questions
Sure.
here. Back to the white lightning. Once you mix it, can you keep it in the container and use it again? Or just kind of dump it when you're done?
Okay, so I'm done with my paint. We're just going to let that dry, so I'll answer the questions, and then hopefully that'll be dry by the time we come back to it. If you take your white lightning and you make it in a water bottle sprayer, it can keep, but the way we do it in a bucket, that water is absolutely horrid, disgusting. It turns black from your sponge, and there's no way you're keeping it. You're just dumping it. But you're not using this entire thing to clean your piece. You're just using a tablespoon or two. It's 2 heaping tablespoons per gallon. So if you're using half a gallon bucket, you're doing like 1 tablespoon. So this can last many, many pieces. And it's like $5. It's not crazy expensive. So I work out of 2 buckets, a dirty one and a clean one, just because I feel like it gets cleaner that way. It's, again, one of those personal preference things. I know plenty of people that spray it out of a water sprayer and then wipe it back, and that's perfectly fine too. And then you can leave it in the spray bottle because obviously the dirt stuff is just on your rag. The way I do it, you would never in a million years want to keep it more than 4 seconds after you're done with it because it's disgusting.
Okay. Can you paint over satin sealers?
Yeah. All Dixie Belle products are water-based. So you can even tint your sealer and make a glaze out of it. So you can take the satin and put a tiny bit of paint even in it, and then it could be a glaze. Which
They're
is super
saying
fun.
once it's already sealed
Yeah.
with the satin.
Yeah.
Okay. And Lisa would like to know, do you paint the backs of the pieces that you do?
It depends what it is, where it's going, for the most part, and like how janky the back is. Like, we try not to sell anything that looks super janky because we're selling it, right? But if it's a piece that is meant to go against a wall, we just make sure that the back of this one is actually really pretty, and I know where it's going, and it's gonna 100% always be against a wall. So I'm just gonna make sure that my end lines are clean, and then that'll be sufficient.
And what sealer will you put over this? What protection will you use for it?
So I love that question for this one because I have found that the easiest way to keep my whites whites and my blacks black is I use white wax with white paint and black wax with black paint. And it'll get any of the little dusty things that pop up when you paint with black. It'll get any of the, sometimes when you touch black paint, your fingerprints leave like a little thing, and the black wax will take care of all of that. And it actually, even though Caviar is super true black, it will still give it a nice, even deeper tone.
And Susan would like to know if she could see your work cart.
Oh, my cart. We love these carts.
The little rolly carts, they're the best.
Ta-da.
I don't know if she wants to see what's in it or just the actual product itself, but that's the cart. And at the moment, this is
has all kinds
all
of
the
stuff
stuff
in it.
that's in it.
I don't even know all the stuff that's in
I kind of did a clean sweep Friday afternoon, and
it. Of just stuff.
it's like, oh, this is useful for a work cart. Let's put this in here.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
kind of what it was. It was all the
So-
lingering.
This is my finishing pad.
Oh, and
These are my rad pads.
for Wendy, these are Dixie Belle products, yes.
Well, these are Surf Prep.
Well, no, she was
But
just
this
saying,
stuff
just
is
jumping
Dixie Belle.
on, is
Yeah.
this a Dixie Belle product?
I have lots of scissors. I got some pens, a marker, my brushes, my paper towels. Here's a Mr. bottle.
Yeah, the carts are great. There's
They're so
lots of
good.
room for
I
everything.
got glue, cleaner, paints I was using on other stuff. here's some stencils that I was using. And I was using the breast cancer transfer and some other stuff. So it really kind of holds everything we're working on. We're just about dry up top.
Jane has a question.
Sure.
Is it necessary to sand off a tint before painting, or can I paint over the stain?
So painting over stain depends on what kind of stain it was, because if it was an oil-based stain, sometimes that will come through a water-based paint. So it depends what was put down first. And what color tone it is, how well it was sealed up. So that could be kind of a layered question, and it might require Boss before your paint, depending on how it was done. Sometimes it's fine, and sometimes it's going to go right through because it's water on top of oil. So I know that was a little vague, but hopefully it helped a little bit. So our friend, oh, I have a little thing in the corner. Let me get it before it dries. Our friend Corey Leister came to New Jersey, and Corey, she has an amazing page, Inspired by You, and Corey does a ton of incredible kitchens, but she uses industrial cabinet paint and a lot of the industrial stuff, and Surf Prep and Apollo and a lot of the companies that we also are working with the tour, she works with. So she's in our industry, but totally separate and different, which is kind of cool, because then you learn things from each other that maybe you didn't know before. Think about, rad pads are my favorite thing in the whole world, besides my paint. And she taught me, like, duh, you can cut them.
I was saying, I need to cut these bad boys because my hands are tiny. Yeah. Yep, why not?
So awesome.
Yeah.
Just like we cut our,
everything else.
Yeah. So now, first of all, maybe I don't even need this half and I'm saving it. But second of all, it fits in my hand like super perfect when it's cut in half. And while I'm waiting for this teeny tiny bit to dry, there's just a little bit left to dry. These have a foam backing that's like a pool noodle. And the front is abrasive. Let's see if they can.
Yeah, you can sort of.
Yeah,
a little bit.
And the nice thing about this is if you have sandpaper from, say, Home Depot or Lowe's, first of all, you're going to use it once and it's going to be gone. You can't use it multiple times. Second of all, I don't know about yours, but my fingers continuously got friction blisters because of
Where did it go?
going on the...
Oh my goodness.
Hold on, guys.
Oh,
Sorry.
I see it. Sorry.
Sees it? Okay. From the paper being too thin.
I think it's a real person.
Okay.
Keep going. Good morning, Grace
But
on Broadway.
these
How can I help
at
you?
least have a foam so your fingers don't get hurt.
I called yesterday. How much are you asking for that?
Sorry.
Just keep going.
Okay. And when you fold
One
your...
moment, please.
When you fold your...
Cute blue hoe chest in the window. How much is that?
$175.
It's
And
$175.
when you have
yeah.
your paper and it is folded, sometimes it kind of cracks along it, and then that will
It
scratch
is.
your paint.
Yeah.
So this won't, and it
Okay.
can go around corners.
Thank you.
So now that that's done,
I can get you the
we're gonna
dimensions
start
in a
to
few
sand
minutes
it
if you
back.
want to leave your name and number.
And we're just gonna pull down and sand. Sorry, guys. This is sometimes what happens when we're live. Do you want me to take
Okay.
it?
I'm sorry. Hang on
Okay.
one moment, dear.
Hold on.
I'm sorry. Hang on one moment. All right.
I'm gonna take it this way. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I got my cart from Michael's too. So the phone is usually cut off for videos, and we do our best, but this is an open store, so sometimes it does ring. And these things kind of happen for lives. Sorry. It's part of being live. Things happen. So as you can see, this is going to go ahead and really smooth out our style. This was here. It's just part of the wood. It's not the paint.
Okay, no problem.
And
Absolutely. Bye-bye.
we wanted it there because it's going to be farmhouse. So again, I don't go crazy about overly fixing things when it's going to be farmhouse. This is my Rad Pad by Surf Prep. Okay.
I am so sorry.
It's okay.
It's not usually a real person.
No. Don't be sorry. She wanted to buy something, and that's what
Yes,
we're all
and she
here
needs
for.
dimensions, so
We'll call her back.
name and number.
Yeah. So we're just going to go through and sand it. And you can see how when you sand, you're getting this sanding dust, right? Like that's not the paint turning that color. That's the sanding dust of, the paint. So when we're going to wipe it down with water after, not a lot, just like a damp rag, wipe that back. Because if you were to seal it right over this is when you get all those weird white flecks when you're working with a dark color. Also, if you're working in a place that has a lot of dust to begin with in the air, it'll do the same thing.
Sharon, these are Surf Prep Rad Pads. And this is what they look like.
Okay. So now, you guys can't see it, and I wish you could, but your paint goes from feeling like paint to really soft and smooth. I mean, this is a great soft finish. And it's going to be just a teeny tiny bit distressed. Nothing crazy because we put the 2 coats on. This is the super fine, so it's the finest one that they have, which is more of a buffing. If I wanted to take off a little bit more,
So everybody wants to know where they're going to get these Surf Prep.
I will put a
Where
link
they're
up
buying the Rad
on
Pads.
Grace on Broadway
Okay.
when we're done. But this is the sandpaper I use every single day. So if we wanted more of it to come through, I would use very fine. And we can kind of bring that up just a little bit. So just like with regular sandpaper, if you don't have these and you want to use regular sandpaper, your grits will determine how much you pull up. So I just want to get kind of in these edges here and pull some of that right up. I actually think I want even more than that, so I'm going to step it up even a little bit. Especially because we're going to start to go down there.
All right. I'm going to show the Surf Prep again for someone who's asking so that she can take a screenshot. Okay.
Everybody that came to the conference this weekend got a full set of all the grits in their slide bag. So here I'm just going this way and I'm really pressing more on the indent than I am here. So we're creating this not too drastic, but pretty distressed look. And then as we get down, we're going to do a little bit more. But for time's sake, I'm just going to get to the bottom to show you guys the difference between 2 coats and 1 coat. Normally, I would work my way from the top to the bottom, but let's just dive in. If you want to go ahead and...
I can say I'll lean in when you stop sanding so that people can see. Otherwise, that gritty, that sound, you know, when you sand on
I know.
camera, it's so much. Yeah.
But I feel like these are less scratchy.
Yeah, they are. They are a lot less scratchy.
The foam buffers being one. And I can see that here's my transition line from the one coat to the two. So I'm going to go over this just a little extra.
Kimberly Jenkins has a question.
Sure.
When you apply Slick Stick on furniture, how long do you wait before you paint it?
Typically, we'll do Slick Stick one day and then we paint the next day.
I'm going to zoom in here so everybody can see a little bit.
So see, when I'm already here, I can still see the textured line of where I dropped that second coat in. So I'm just going over it so that it feels nice and smooth. And then I'm gonna now, so I can see what the heck I just did underneath all this dust, I'm gonna use my Mister bottle, mix it up, and let's see what magic comes up underneath. And then we'll know if we have to keep going or if we're getting there. And I'll wipe back my dust. I think the bottom is coming out super cool. That's fun. And this is starting to kind of come out. And this is all what we want. All of this down here. And then the top being consistent. So I'm just going to go ahead and wipe that back. This isn't sealed and I'm using a bunch of water. More than I normally would, and it's going to wet distress it a little bit too. That's not going to hurt anything because that's what I want down here. For up here, if it's perfect the way I want it, I would probably just put a little bit of water on a towelette and wipe it back and maybe not spray my water right on it. But for down here, again, since that's the look I was going for, I knew it wouldn't hurt it and it probably would help me with a little bit of my work. So kind of keeping in mind what your overall outcome in your head is helps you figure out, you know, do I waste my time with a second coat? Do I care if I wet distress? And sometimes it affects how you do things a little bit different. I can't say that any piece I do is the same from start to finish in steps because it all depends on what that final look is going to be. The rest of this is really just going to be me continuing to distress and spray and distress and spray until I get where I want to be. I wish you guys were here to feel how soft this was. It's ridiculous. There's also no visible or thick brush strokes, and that's because of sanding. And I don't want you to think that you only need to use Surf Prep Rad pads. They're my favorite thing, but sand. Use finishing pads, use sanding pads, use 220 or 500 sandpaper, but sand. You want it to be so soft and smooth. You know what? You can hear a difference. So here, super smooth. You hear that? That's paint. Super smooth. So to me, when I give something to a customer, I want it to feel finished, and I want it to feel as close to almost factory finish as I can. And the finishing final sand is, I think, where you really achieve that. So that's why this is important to me. I'm going to continue to sand and mess with it and sand and mess with it, but I don't think you want to watch me sand all day. So if anyone has any final questions, we can do that.
And Mary was just asking how you're going to seal it.
With the black wax.
Black wax.
It's not going in a bathroom. It's not going in a kitchen. So there's really no need for like gator hide or anything like that. It's going to be a piece in an office. It's actually going to be a coffee station, which is going to be super cute. The inside of it is all shelves, and we showed that in our last live.
Amy would like to know, do you sand between all your coats of paint?
I don't sand between my coats of paint, but it's also because I'm very particular about making sure that I'm using thin, even coats and that I'm staying in one direction and how I apply my paint. I think it saves time to just lay your paint even and smooth the first time, because then you don't have to go back and do a lot of that stuff. So, no, I don't. But that's why. But if I did go into a rush and saw that my paint lines ended up a little bit janky, or I used more paint than I wanted to, then I would. But I try to be particular the first time so that I don't have to go back.
And that's a mister that you're using.
This is
not
my
just a
Mister
regular
bottle.
old water bottle. It's a mister.
Yeah, no. Regular water bottles will shoot your water out like a water gun. And then you end up with like huge gobs of, Gary's waving